Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. This morning we're talking about the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and the United 93 flight that crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Mourners attended events across the country in remembrance of the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil. We want to know, how did you mark the 9/11 anniversary? Make sure you vote online through our app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
Plus, the battle overseas documents from the Mar-a-Lago resort continues as a deadline looms for former President Trump to convince a judge the DOJ should not be able to review the documents before a special master has time to preview them, and that deadline is today.
But first, our top stories right now at 5. Coming up, authorities charge a man with DWI, resulting in the death of another in a fatal car crash from last month in Anderson, Missouri.
Plus, we don't have a lot to track on the Skywatch storm tracker. We're going to break down the full forecast here in just a few minutes.
And some motorists in Kansas will need to detour as KDOT looks to close the US 400 bypass east of Baxter Springs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Buck.
I'm Chris Warner. So this has never, ever happened before. I don't have your full morning forecast just yet because I was off Friday, and I'm not going to make this mistake a second time. I was off Friday, so I set my alarm and set it for 2:30 a.m. I set it for 4:30 because I know if I sleep in too late, it'll be hard to get back to the routine, right?
Okay.
I didn't reset it over the weekend. So 4:30 rolls around this morning. I'm in a nice sound slumber. The alarm goes off.
Oh, no.
And I look at my clock and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Because the show starts at 5.
Yeah. So I woke everybody up because I shouted, oh my gosh, very loudly. And I jumped out of bed and I got dressed. And so, yeah, I will have your full forecast here in a few minutes. Don't worry. I'm working on it right now. I got here at what, maybe 4:50? Turns out it's not that long of a drive from here to there when you are in a hurry. I didn't speed, believe it or not. Just with no traffic, it worked out all right.
It is amazing, but as soon as 5 o'clock hits, though, like that's when the traffic just starts rolling. So
I've noticed that over the years when I've done news stories early in the morning. You reach a point, and all of a sudden at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Cars drop out of the sky randomly, and they're peppered all over the highway and everywhere else. So I will have your full forecast and a complete bus stop forecast and everything you need to know for the week ahead. The good news is there's not a lot to talk about. It's going to be pretty warm, pretty dry, and it's hard to believe how warm and dry it's going to be. You can see on the Skywatch storm tracker locally right now, there is nothing out there to look at. And again, I will have that complete forecast for you here in just a few minutes. But for now, while we let Tanya take it away with the morning's top stories.
That's right. Pittsburgh police investigate a shooting that happened early Friday morning. Police say it happened on the 300 block of West 4th Street shortly after 2 a.m. Officers found a 30-year-old man with a gunshot wound inside a home. That man was taken to the hospital and no word on his condition. Authorities say the shots came from outside the home and that the shooting was targeted. Miami, Oklahoma police arrest a suspect in the stranger with candy case. His name is Kirk William Owen of Grove, Oklahoma. He had been on probation with a 20-year sentence for a lewd molestation of a child charge. He's now suspected of violating parole. Owen was back in the spotlight due to a case out of Crawford County, Kansas, of allegedly enticing a minor. Back in July, the Crawford County Sheriff's Office investigated reports of a man in a white Corvette convertible offering juveniles bags of candy at a park in Cherokee, Kansas. Police say the man reportedly was wearing underwear and a shirt, and only that, and asked the children for their home address. They believe Owen was that man. Police arrested an Anderson, Missouri man at his home in connection with a fatal crash last month. Vincent Castro, who had previously been in the hospital, is now charged with DWI resulting in the death of another, among other charges for the August 20th two-vehicle crash on Missouri 59 Highway in Anderson. The other driver, 65-year-old David Cunningham, was airlifted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin, where he was later pronounced dead. Castro's bond is set at $500,000. Some Kansas drivers may have to look out for a detour starting today. The Kansas Department of Transportation looks to close the US 400 bypass east of Baxter Springs. It's being closed for construction as KDOT continues work on the US 166 expansion in Cherokee County. US 69A at Baxter Springs and US 166 will remain open. There will be a signed detour on US 69A, K66, and K26. A national organization is helping the family of a fallen Joplin police officer. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation has a program that pays off the mortgages of first responders killed in the line of duty. The group paid off the mortgage of the family of Corporal Benjamin Cooper. Cooper was shot and killed on March 8th. Officials with the organization say they want to ensure his children always have a place to call home. And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather forecast with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. The KOAM Skywatch weather app.
And speaking of the KOAM Skywatch weather, as I mentioned, I will have your complete forecast here shortly. But I can tell you we're looking at a pretty decent day today. We've got afternoon highs of only about 79 degrees. Will be 72 at noon, 70 by 8. We're looking for an overnight low of 57 tonight. Hard to believe that it's going to be so cool so early. But it's how it is in the 4 states. We're getting ready to dive right into winter, it seems. We do have some warmer weather that is on the way. I'm going to talk about your 7-day forecast and how much it's going to warm up this week here in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds like a plan. That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Sooners get off to a slow start against Kent State over the weekend. Could they find momentum and a victory on the gridiron? Chris has the answer in sports.
Plus, yesterday marked the 21st anniversary of the terror attacks on 9/11, and ceremonies took place across the country.
And an FDA advisory committee green lights an experimental ALS treatment designed to slow progress of the disease. We'll have the details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, Sunday marked 21 years since the September 11th attacks when hijacked planes crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and a field in Pennsylvania. Mourners once again gathered at the scenes of those tragedies, marking the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil and determined to never forget the fallen. Bradley Blackburn reports.
The nation observed the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attacks with the rituals that have grown familiar in the past 2 decades. Bells tolled in lower Manhattan, and friends and family, some not yet born that day, read the names of the nearly 3,000 lives lost.
And my fighter Jimmy Riches. Uncle Jimmy, I am so proud to be named after you. You are my hero. I wish I could have met you because you sound like so much fun when we talk about you.
Andrew Colabella, who lost his cousin in the 1993 Trade Center bombing, had a message for the politicians at the ceremony.
It took a tragedy to unite us. And I want to remind all of you there, it should not take another tragedy to unite our nation.
Today's gatherings have been scaled down compared to last year when large crowds turned out, especially here at the World Trade Center site, to mark 20 years since the tragedy. Vice President Kamala Harris represented the White House at the event in New York. First Lady Jill Biden took part in the remembrance at the Flight 93 Memorial near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And President Biden spoke at the Pentagon.
We raise monuments and memorials to the citizens whose blood sacrificed on these grounds and in Shanksville and Ground Zero to keep touch of the memory, keep it bright for all the decades to come.
From each of the day's ceremonies came the renewed promise to never forget. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Well, the death toll has grown significantly over the years as survivors and first responders succumb to 9/11 related illnesses. Those illnesses are believed to have claimed more lives than the 2,977 killed in the initial attacks. That brings us to our question to you. How did you mark the 9/11 anniversary? Did you attend an event, watch news footage, remember where you were, talk to youth? All of those, maybe none of those, maybe something else. Make sure you vote through our website, through the app, and of course take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're going to be back with Health Watch right after this. And still to come, officials in Scotland and England bracing themselves for what is expected to be an unprecedented turnout for public viewings for Queen Elizabeth II. And of course, we have a check of your forecast. This time, I promise, I've got your full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. The Week 3 college football rankings were just released, and there's a new #1 team in the nation. Georgia and Alabama switched places at the top of the poll. Oklahoma jumps up to number 6. Down a bit further in the rankings, in 8th is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Arkansas jumps up 6 spots and rounds out the top 10, and Kansas State deserves a shout out just outside the top 25. The Wildcats get 77 votes. They're 2-0 following a 40-12 win over Missouri. For some actual college gameplay, Oklahoma takes care of business against Kent State on Saturday. The Sooners rolled a victory 33-3, but it was a slow start for Oklahoma. They scored their first points of the game just seconds before halftime. Then they got going. Dylan Gabriel threw for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game.
Proud of our guys for, again, coming out the second half and really playing complimentary football. Still, again, there's, especially on defense, a lot of things that we need to do better. But at the end of the day, that's the fewest points that we've allowed against an FBS opponent since 2017.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys improved to 2-0 to close out the week following a 34-17 win over Arizona State. Head coach Mike Gundy says the Cowboys made some necessary adjustments this week, including in the run game. The Oklahoma State rushing attack was led by Dominic Richardson. He had 27 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown.
We were able to rush the ball effectively. We ran the ball for 4.3 a carry. 4.5 is what we're looking for, but much better rushing the football, and we're much more physical in the second half. Our running backs broke some tackles in key third downs and situations to keep us going, keep the drive alive. When 6, 8, 10 minutes to go in the game, could have stopped us a couple times, but our backs ran through and made plays.
All right, now for a proper good morning to you, everybody. I'm finally starting to get awake. Didn't touch my coffee until I got here. I brewed it, got dressed, and flew out the door. I didn't really fly. I can't do that. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. There is activity in the lower 48. Low pressure system kicking off to the northeast. Finally getting some rain down in the desert southwest where they need it. We need rain here very badly as well. But unfortunately, we are not going to see any for the next several days. 7th range line. Skies are looking pretty good outside, and temperatures are, well, right where about we thought they'd be. 50 degrees to start the day in Joplin right now with a light south breeze. Now, there's the key is we have that south breeze. You can see across the area, we've got some 40s out there. 48 Sedan, 49 Independence, 49 Chanute, 50 in Pittsburgh, 49 in Lamar, and 50 in Carthage as we start the day. Getting on the bus this morning, here's what the kids are going to face. A little bit on the chilly side, about 49 degrees at 7 a.m. Don't bundle them up too much, though, because we have that southerly breeze. It's going to start to switch out of the west, and it's going to bring us warmer temperatures. Not hot, but warmer. 78, mostly sunny skies by 3 o'clock. We'll have mostly clear skies this morning. As we go through the rest of today, it's not going to be as hot as it may be the rest of this week. We're 72 by noon, 79 by 5, and 70 by 8. And 79 is our expected afternoon high under completely clear skies. We get another clear night ahead of us, another chilly one, 65 at 11, 60 by 2 a.m., overnight low of 57. Now on the future track, again, unfortunately, there's really not a lot to show other than just some absolutely cool temperatures across the area. I know that we still need some rain, and unfortunately, at least over the next several days, rain is not something that we are going to have in our forecast. I promise you the future track is working. There's just nothing on it right now. We do start to warm up. We'll start to see an afternoon high tomorrow around 90 degrees. 92 on Thursday, 90 on Friday, 90s hold on into the weekend, and this is not me just being lazy because I was late. This is the actual fact. We're looking at a pretty clear sky forecast ahead of us. Again, I know we need the rain, but at least temperatures are still pretty manageable. Overnight lows hovering around the 60s. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, an experimental treatment for ALS is one step closer to getting a green light. An FDA advisory committee voted to support approval of a drug that could help slow the progression of the disease. Mandy Gaither has more on why one patient calls this a major step forward.
For the past 5 years, Steve Kowalski has been living with ALS. I was sent home after my diagnosis with really little hope that there was some treatment available that would help.
But a new treatment may soon be available. An FDA advisory committee voted to support approval of an experimental drug. The manufacturer, Amylyx, says a clinical trial showed the drug significantly slowed the rate of functional decline from ALS compared with those given a placebo. The company reports the drug was generally well tolerated, other than gastrointestinal events happening more often in the group that got the medication. Patients like Kowalski have urged the FDA for approval.
For those folks that are on the bedsides as we speak, getting delivered this devastating news, this is some hope that'll help them in their process of dealing with the horrible diagnosis.
ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, affects as many as 30,000 people in the U.S. It's a disease that causes muscles to weaken, eventually affecting patients' ability to speak, swallow, move, and breathe. The full FDA is expected to make a decision by the end of September. If approved, Kowalski says all eyes will be on the insurance approval process,
which is yet another hurdle that I think many folks are going to have to deal with, to fight to get approval to have the medication covered.
The outcome of the vote differed from an earlier vote by the same committee. In March, the FDA's advisors voted against approving the company's application for approval of this therapy. Now, Wednesday's decision was based on both information presented in March and new analysis submitted since. That's a look at one of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We're looking at a pretty good start to the day. Again, from the drought perspective, this week is not a good week, but if you've got outdoor activities or anything like that, then we have a pretty decent week shaped lined up for you. 50 degrees in Joplin right now, and temperatures across the area looking pretty decent as well, as we can see some 40s out in southeast Kansas. We have 49 Sedan, 49 Yates Center, Chanute, and Iola, 50 Pittsburgh and Fort Scott, and 51 in Nevada as we start the day. Kids getting on the bus about 7 o'clock. Some of it's going to be a chilly one, mostly clear skies, but 49 degrees as the wind begins to shift out of the west. And then we'll have 78 by 3 o'clock as the kids head home later today. As we go through today, it's not going to be very warm. We're looking at 79, 72 by noon, 79 for the high, 70 by 8. And then as we head into tonight, mostly clear skies prevail, 65 at 11, 60 by 2 a.m. with an overnight low of 57 degrees. There are some changes on the way in terms of the temperatures, but unfortunately, as we look at the future track, other than seeing cooler weather, there's really not a lot of activity in our immediate future. We're going to be staying dry, and we're going to be staying warm to, you could say, hot as the week goes on. Let's take a quick look at the 7-day forecast. This is not a typo, and this wasn't me just throwing it together because I was in a hurry. Sunny skies for the next several days, and we'll start to rebound temperature-wise as we head into tomorrow. We'll hold on to low 90s through the rest of the week, and we've got at least decent overnight lows as well in the 60s. The problem is again, if you're outdoors, sporting activities, anything like that, the weather's beautiful for that. But if you're dealing with the drought situation, this is not the forecast you want to see, as the foreseeable future does continue to remain dry. And of course, don't forget, you can keep up with the latest forecast with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. All you need to do is go to your favorite app store and search for KOAM Skywatch weather. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News coming your way.
For a massive and possible unprecedented turnout when the public viewings for the Queen Elizabeth II get underway this evening. They're warning that the wait could even take hours, perhaps even longer. Ian Lee reports from Windsor, England.
Britain's long goodbye to Queen Elizabeth is now officially underway. On Sunday, a hearse carried the Queen's coffin from the Scottish country home where she died to Edinburgh, Scotland's capital. The 6-hour journey was marked by huge crowds that lined the roads for a glimpse of the hearse.
The mood was somber but respectful, but spontaneous applause began just as the cortege had left.
Today, the Queen's body will be transported to St. Giles Cathedral along Edinburgh's Royal Mile. Elizabeth's son, the new King Charles III, will lead the procession, which will conclude with a private service. Afterwards, members of the public will be able to come pay their respects in person. Queen Elizabeth is expected to lie at rest in Scotland for about 24 hours. Her coffin will then be flown to London for an extended public viewing.
And Her Majesty was a constant in our lives, and that's gone.
The death of the UK's longest reigning monarch has prompted an outpouring of grief across the country. For most of her subjects, the 96-year-old was the only monarch they had ever known.
She'll be sorely missed, not only by her family, but I think everyone that she's come into in their lives.
There's been a lot of concern and speculation online over what will happen to the Queen's corgis. They're reportedly going to remain together and in the care of her family. The BBC says the dogs will be jointly adopted by her son Prince Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson. Ian Lee, CBS News, Windsor, England.
Even though Andrew and Sarah, the Duke and Duchess of York, divorced in 1996, they both live on the Windsor estate. Meanwhile, tight restrictions have reportedly been placed on VIPs attending the Queen's funeral. Politico is reporting only foreign heads of state and their partners have been invited. And helicopters have been banned. Even official cars will need to be left behind, and dignitaries will instead be bused to Westminster Abbey. Private planes are also being discouraged. Even though the Queen was a tireless advocate for the environment, the restrictions are reportedly in place for security reasons. Well, now that Britain's Queen Elizabeth II has passed, how long is currency with her image still legally usable? Well, new currency with the image of the new British King, Charles III, will be produced following a period of mourning. The Bank of England says current bank notes featuring Queen Elizabeth will still continue to be legal tender, with the Royal Mint saying coins with her image will also be remaining in use. There are about 47 billion UK banknotes worth 85 billion in circulation, as well as 29 billion coins. Coin experts say the Queen will remain in circulation for years to come. Meanwhile, other countries with currency featuring the Queen include Canada, Australia, and more officials say updates to their currency to feature the new monarch will also be made, but those changes could take longer. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door.
But before we get to that, we're going to take another look at your forecast this morning. 7th and range line looking pretty good as traffic begins to flow across the area. Temperatures looking chilly. Almost cold this morning, 50 degrees to start the day in Joplin, and that's nothing because you head out into southeast Kansas, and we've got temperatures in the upper 40s. Look at 47 in Fredonia, 49 Chanute, 48 Iola, 47 in Veneta, 46 Grove and Jay is the cool spots. We have 50 Lamar and 50 in Carthage. As kids get on the bus this morning, temperatures may fall back just a little bit, so we're looking at maybe 49 degrees by 7 a.m., but we'll have clear skies, and those clear skies will continue. 78 degrees at 3 o'clock when the bus brings them home. As we go through today, we're not really going to warm up that much either from the 3 o'clock temperature. We're looking at an afternoon high of 79 degrees under mostly clear skies. Going into tonight, I'm going to sound like a broken record here in a minute. Mostly clear skies again, overnight low of 57 degrees. And remember, for your latest forecast anytime, anywhere, scan that QR code or just search for KOAM Skywatch Weather to make sure you download the KOAM Skywatch Weather app. It's like having the entire Skywatch Weather team in your pocket wherever you go. The future track is all but useless for the next few days. There's nothing on it. It's not broken. There's simply nothing out there to talk about over the next several days, other than we will start to see a rebound in temperatures as we go on into the week. Starting tomorrow, 90 degrees tomorrow, mostly clear skies all week long, temperatures hovering in the lower 90s, and then we've got overnight lows in the 60s with clear nights ahead. Unfortunately, no rain in the foreseeable future. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Some Kansas drivers may have to look out for a detour starting today. The Kansas Department of Transportation looks to close the US 400 bypass east of Baxter Springs. It's being closed for construction as KDOT continues to work on the US 166 expansion in Cherokee County. US 69A at Baxter Springs and US 166 will remain open. There will be a signed detour on US 69A, K66, and K26. Anderson, Missouri police charge a man in connection with a fatal crash last month. Vincent Castro is now charged with DWI resulting in the death of another, among other charges, for the August 20th two-vehicle crash on Missouri 59 Highway in Anderson. The other driver, 65-year-old David Cunningham, was airlifted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin, where he was later pronounced dead. Ukrainian soldiers raised their country's flag in the main square of Izium. Russian forces were forced to flee the strategic eastern city just 5 days after Ukrainian forces began a new offensive eastward through the Kharkiv region. The last 5 days have seen the most ambitious ground assaults by the Ukrainians since Russia launched its full-scale invasion over 6 months ago. William and Prince Harry pay respects to their grandmother on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Sources say William reached out to Harry shortly before this walk. You can see the brothers with their wives Catherine and Meghan looking at some of the tributes to the Queen left by the gates of the castle before greeting people who were there to offer their condolences. Public viewings for the Queen will get underway today. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And a check of that forecast before you head out the door. Skies are looking really good at 7th and Range Line, as you can see. Well, you can't see it yet, but trust me, they are clear. 50 degrees as we start the day in Joplin. If you think that's chilly, wait till you see some of these other temperatures. It is chilly across the region. 46, Jay and Grove, 49, Independence and Parsons and Neosho, 50 in Carthage, Lamar, and 51 to start the day in Nevada. As the kids get on the bus this morning, be a little bit chilly, about 49 degrees under mostly clear skies. Our southerly breeze will start to shift out of the west, and once the kids get home, still mostly clear, 78 at 3 o'clock. In fact, we're not going to do a lot of warming today as we head in through the rest of the afternoon. Mostly clear skies, 72 at noon, afternoon high of 79 and 70 by 8 o'clock. As you may have noticed, it's getting darker a pinch earlier now, which also allows temperatures to start dropping a little bit more quickly. 65 at 11, 60 by 2 a.m. and an overnight low of 57 under, you guessed it, mostly clear skies. And remember, make sure you download the KOAM Skywatch weather app. You can do so by scanning that QR code or searching for KOAM Skywatch weather in your favorite app store. The future track, it does work because there's some clouds in northeast Missouri that clear out. After that, there's just really nothing to show on there. So we'll take a look at the 7-day forecast. Temperatures begin to rebound tomorrow, 90 degrees by Tuesday, lower 90s for the rest of the week under clear skies. And then we've got overnight lows in the 60s. Forecast is great news if you've got outdoor plans or if you've got different activities outdoors. It is not great news if you're dealing with the drought situation, as there's no rain in the foreseeable future. We're back right after this.
Well, folks in Pittsburgh came together for a block party hosted by Block 22.
KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
State University and the City of Pittsburgh are hosting Block 22 Party, a free event for the community.
This is beautiful space here on the Evergy Plaza here at Block 22, and so we pitched the idea, why don't we try to do a summer show here and kind of welcome in the fall. And as you can see, we're bringing people in together, and they're talking and visiting, and they're not looking at cell phones and all those things.
The Olive Street organization is expanding their venue size.
So first of all, we're music lovers. We've done house concerts for almost 15 years, where we bring national touring musicians into our living room and play for like 40 people because that's all our house will hold. And so during the pandemic, we decided to create a not-for-profit, which would allow us the opportunity for arts grants and other to reach a broader audience.
Bringing live music to Pittsburgh is Olive Street's main goal.
It was kind of my pandemic project because we were down for 2 years and had no performances, obviously. And so I took some of that energy and I thought, how can we, when the pandemic is over, will people want to gather again, and how can we make that happen?
The Block 22 Party is one new way to get live music on Pittsburgh streets.
Like I said, we've been doing kind of the folk, alt country Americana is kind of what Olive Street focuses on, and so we're bringing it out to share it to a broader audience.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Well, the Olive Street organization is expecting to have more Block 22 parties in the future.
I remember when Block 22 first got started. Several years ago, they announced the plans and the project, and then to just watch it take shape over the last several years, it's been incredible. They've done a lot of amazing work in downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they made a few changes since then and tweaked a few things, and it's turning out quite nicely.
Yeah. I mean, and it's an area of downtown Pittsburgh that really needed some of that TLC, and I mean, once it got it, it's unrecognizable to what it was several years ago.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful watching someone take some old and dilapidated buildings that have history in them, and I know you really appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely.
Bringing back the history and turning them into something new, but still keeping the history too.
Oh yeah, it's been a fantastic project, and I'm sure it's got a fantastic future. We got another look at your forecast right after this. A look at the Skywatch storm tracker shows nothing out there on the local level. In fact, We got to zoom really far out to find any kind of activity. Got a low pressure system around the Great Lakes region that's taking some rain away from us, unfortunately, and not bringing us anything here locally. 7th and range line, skies look good. Traffic is stopped at a red light, but when it's not stopped at that red light, it is flowing quite smoothly so far this morning. We're at 51 in Joplin right now under mostly clear skies, and we do have some chilly temperatures across the region, though. As we take a look here, you can see we've got 40s in southeast Kansas, 47 Fredonia, 49 Chanute and Parsons, 50 Columbus, Miami, and in Carthage and Lamar, and 51 in Nevada. Kids getting on the bus this morning, about 7 a.m., maybe 49 degrees under mostly clear skies. And when the bus brings them home, mostly clear skies again, 78 by 3 o'clock. And going through today, not a lot of warming. Mostly clear skies, afternoon high right around 80 degrees. Otherwise, pretty decent. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News after this.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. This morning we're talking about the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and the United 93 flight that crashed into a field in Pennsylvania.
Mourners attended events across the country in remembrance of the deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil.
And we want to know, how did you mark the 9/11 anniversary? Make sure you vote online through our app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page.
Plus, different tribes and families come together in Wyandotte, Oklahoma for a powwow.
But first, our top stories right now at 6. Coming up, Pittsburgh, Kansas police investigate into a shooting that happened on Friday.
And taking a look at 7th and range line, we've got a pretty clear sky to start our day. Are there changes on the way? We're going to tell you here in just a few minutes.
And police charge a Miami, Oklahoma man for violating his parole.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It is a beautiful, crisp morning. Now, this morning, I'm done. I'm over it now, but I was running late. So, I got dressed in a hurry. So I was sweating when I got into my car. Because I travel on the highway to get here, I couldn't roll the windows down because I didn't want a 500-mile-an-hour breeze. So I actually turned the AC on, and I felt really silly and really bad because my car was showing me about 50, 51 degrees. And I'm like, and I'm riding with the AC on. But I was burning up. I did a lot of fast moving this morning. It's probably the fastest I've ever gotten dressed in my life.
I'm sure you cooled down pretty quickly once you came in the studio, though.
Believe it or not, I'm still warm. But I think part of it is I still have the hot coffee. Usually I drink my coffee before I get here and then have, some flavored water or soda, something like that during the show to keep me going. But I didn't have that coffee, so I'm drinking the coffee. So I'm still pretty warm right now.
Yep, warm in the inner core.
Yeah, right here. Right here.
Which won't be getting too warm outside today.
No, not today anyway. The temperatures today actually looking really good. 7th and range line looking really good too. Traffic is moving as a few more cars get onto the road this morning. And we've got temperatures looking really good too. It's kind of chilly compared to what we've seen. 51 degrees is where we are in Joplin right now. And if you think that's chilly, take a look at the wide view. We've got 40s out there. 47 Fredonia, 49 in Parsons, 50 Miami, 51 in Carthage, and 52 in Nevada. Kids getting on the bus this morning. We have temperatures hovering right around that 50-degree mark under mostly clear skies. Mostly clear skies prevail through the evening, 78 at 3 o'clock when they get off the bus. Through the rest of today, though, as Tanya mentioned, it's not going to be that terribly warm today. We got mostly clear skies all day, afternoon high of 79 degrees. And then as we head into tonight, it's going to be mostly clear again. Overnight low dropping back down to about 57 degrees. And a look at the 7-day forecast shows where we do start to warm up as we head into the week. We're going to take a deeper look at the 7-day forecast here in just a couple of minutes.
All right, that sounds like a plan. Thanks, Chris. Well, Pittsburgh police investigate a shooting that happened early Friday morning. Police say it happened on the 300 block of West 4th Street shortly after 2 a.m. Officers found a 30-year-old man with a gunshot wound inside a home. That man was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition. Authorities say the shots came from outside the home and that the shooting was targeted. Miami, Oklahoma police arrest a suspect in the stranger with candy case. He is Kirk William Owen of Grove, Oklahoma. He had been on probation with a 20-year sentence for lewd molestation of a child, and now he's suspected of violating parole. Owen was back in the spotlight due to a case out of Crawford County, Kansas, of allegedly enticing a minor. And back in July, the Crawford County Sheriff's Office investigated reports of a man in a white Corvette convertible offering juveniles bags of candy at a park in Cherokee, Kansas. Police say the man reportedly was wearing only underwear and a shirt and asked the children for their home address. They believe Owen was that man. Police arrest an Anderson, Missouri man at his home in connection with a fatal crash last month. Vincent Castro, who had previously been in the hospital, is now charged with DWI resulting in the death of another, among other charges for the August 20th two-vehicle crash on Missouri 59 Highway in Anderson. The other driver, 65-year-old David Cunningham, was airlifted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin, where he was later pronounced dead. Castro's bond is set at $500,000. A crash in Barton County leaves 2 people dead just before 5 a.m. on Saturday. Reports of a crash 6 miles south of Liberal, Missouri, along with Missouri 43, alerted police dispatch. The Barton County Sheriff's Department, Liberal Police, Liberal Fire, and the Barton County Ambulance responded to the scene. While on the scene, officers learned that a Toyota Highlander traveling southbound on Missouri 43 entered the wrong lane and struck a 1998 Ford F-250 head-on. Police say the driver of the Toyota, Shelby Stennett, 30 years old, and the juvenile Ford driver were pronounced dead at the scene. EMS then transported 2 juvenile passengers of the Ford to area hospitals via ambulance and helicopter. Well, the Jomo Pride Festival took place over the weekend. Sunday marked the last day of the festival that promotes diversity and freeness. Some events included a talent show, bingo, live music, and everything capped off with a dance party.
We took over the festival in 2018. It used to be just held exclusively at the park. Once we brought it to downtown, it expanded quite substantially. So every year we've been just trying to add a little bit more and make it a little bit bigger and better every year. Right now we're on track to, eclipse Springfield's Pride Fest, and we're almost on track to eclipse Tulsa's Pride Fest. So that's our goal.
For more information on the Jomo Pride Fest, you can head on over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Over 20 regional artists gathered in Joplin to participate in the Paint the Ozarks Plein Air Paint Out competition on Saturday. 24-hour lasting competition let artists find a place to paint as long as it was outside. Officials say painting outside is not as easy as one may think, and the lights, colors, and shadows are changing, unlike when painting in studio. They say this is a possibility for Joplin citizens to go and observe how artists work.
And some people that are local Joplin natives and did not know that they even painted. So yeah, I think it could grow into a group that might get together and paint on a regular basis. That would be nice.
Kansas City artist Larry DeGraff assumed the role of judging the participants' paintings.
A quick check of that 7-day forecast, and it's going to be a quick one. As you can see, we're looking at a mostly clear week ahead of us. Temperatures in the lower 90s for afternoon highs. Overnight lows in the 60s. So as we've been talking, if you've got outdoor plans or sporting activities this week, perfect weather for that. But if you're still fighting the drought, which we are still dealing with extreme drought conditions in the area, it's not good news, as there's not a drop of rain for the foreseeable future.
Well, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a Goodwill in Kentucky makes an incredible find in some donated goods.
Plus, the Chiefs took on the Cardinals in their first game of the season. We'll have who came out on top.
And we'll have how climate change is linked to lung cancer. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
All right, this is a good one. A routine check of some donated goods has unexpectedly turned up a couple of wartime letters in Kentucky. An effort is underway to try to locate any relatives of the serviceman who wrote them 80 years ago. John London reports.
The words are from 80 years ago.
I was very glad to receive your letter before I leave here. Not that I know where or when I'm going.
Lost sentences that have surfaced fresh as part of America's story. You can imagine how anxious we all are, he writes, to know what's going to happen to us. Letters home from a war, one written at sea.
You'll hear from me as soon as I am located someplace else, which I hope is soon. Yeah. Yours till I hit an ocean front, Bob.
Oh. The other mailed 4 months earlier from the Naval Training Center at Great Lakes, Illinois. This distinctive box was among the donations at the Goodwill store in Bellevue over the Labor Day weekend. Inside were 2 letters addressed to Miss Elizabeth W. Smith at a P.O. box in Bristol, Pennsylvania, written by Navy seaman Robert Ballantyne. Gunners made 3rd class aboard the USS LST-385. Sue Burrison happened by as Michael Flannery was relating to us what he has found out so far.
And the ship was part of D-Day.
The folks at Goodwill Industries do not know how the letters to a suburb of Philly ended up in northern Kentucky, but they're trying to find out.
And something like this, the family would want. You know, you'd want the grandson to be able to hold his grandfather's letter and read his words.
Hope you'll excuse the delay in answering your letters. Glad to hear you had such a nice Christmas.
I have a swell beard. You ought to see it. Till next time, love, R.A. Ballantyne.
Absolutely incredible. Now, Goodwill is looking for Ballantyne's next of kin to have the letters returned to them. Look at the Skywatch storm tracker. Nothing to show on the local level. If we zoom out to show you the entire lower 48, you can see there is activity out there. We got some rain clearing the eastern seaboard. We got a low pressure system in the Great Lakes bringing rain to the Chicago area, and the desert southwest finally getting some much needed rain as well. Now they need that rain to continue moving southwest, but at least some is falling down there, and of course some scattered showers in the Pacific Northwest. For us though, that's not the case. No scattered showers today or for the foreseeable future. 7th range line looking pretty good, 51 degrees as we start the day in Joplin. We've got good temperatures across the area, some chilly ones out there too. We're looking at 46 Veneta, Grove, and Jay, 48 in Nowata, 47 in Fredonia, and 49 in Chanute. Kids getting on the bus this morning might be a bit of a chilly one, but don't bundle them up too much because it will still warm up later today. 49 at 7 a.m. when the bus gets there, and we're looking at 78 by 3 when the bus brings them home. As we go through the rest of today, temperatures looking good. Afternoon high of 79 degrees under mostly clear skies. Heading into tonight, mostly clear skies yet again. We have 65 by 11, 60 by 2 a.m. at an overnight low of 57 degrees. And remember, get the forecast anytime, anywhere. Scan that QR code or just go to your favorite app store and search for KOAM Skywatch Weather. It's like having the entire KOAM Skywatch Weather team with you with the KOAM Skywatch Weather app. Future track is not broken because you see clouds that eventually begin to clear out in northeast Missouri. Otherwise, there's nothing to show. And here's why. Look at the 7-day forecast. Start to warm up tomorrow, 90 degrees, and we're in lower 90s for the rest of the week. 89 on Friday, so not bad. Not bad if you've got outdoor activities planned. Unfortunately for the drought situation, not the forecast we want to see. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. We've been waiting and waiting some more, and finally, the Kansas City Chiefs kick off their season on the road on Sunday. Kansas City at Arizona for their Week 1 matchup. Opening drive for the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce from 9 yards out for the first touchdown of the season. Now, later in the first, Mahomes throws a shovel pass to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He walks in for 6. Second quarter, 4th and 2 for Kansas City. Edwards-Helaire wide open. 3 touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. Chiefs lead 20-7. They really start to pull away now. Mahomes finds Jody Fortson in the back of the end zone, and they keep pouring it on. This time, McCole Hardman gets involved. Here comes a 2-yard touchdown. We count them all up. Mahomes throws 5 touchdown passes, and the Chiefs dominate the Cardinals 44-21. At the college level, Oklahoma takes care of business against Kent State Saturday. The Sooners rolled to victory 33-3, but it was a slow start for Oklahoma. They scored their first points of the game just seconds before halftime. Then they got going. Dylan Gabriel threw for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game.
Proud of our guys for, again, coming out the second half and really playing complementary football. Still, again, there's, especially on defense, a lot of things that we need to do better. But at the end of the day, that's the fewest points that we've allowed against an FBS opponent since 2017.
The Oklahoma State Cowboys improved to 2-0 to close out the week following a 34-17 win over Arizona State. Head coach Mike Gundy says the Cowboys made some necessary adjustments this week, including in the run game. The Oklahoma State rushing attack was led by Dominic Richardson. He had 27 carries for 131 yards and a touchdown.
We were able to rush the ball effectively. We ran the ball for 4.3 a carry. 4.5 is what we're looking for, but much better rushing in football, and we're much more physical in the second half. Our running backs broke some tackles in key third downs and situations to keep us going, keep the drive alive. When 6, 8, 10 minutes to go in the game, could have stopped us a couple times, but our backs ran through and made plays.
The Week 3 college football rankings just released, and there's a new #1 team in the nation. Georgia and Alabama switch places at the top of the poll. Oklahoma jumps up to number 6. Down a bit further in the rankings, in 8th is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Arkansas jumps up 6 spots and rounds out the top 10. Kansas State deserves a shout out just outside the top 25. Wildcats get 77 votes. They're 2-0 following a 40-12 win over Missouri. In the MLB, St. Louis has a comfortable lead in the National League Central Division with less than a month of regular season play remaining. Cardinals close out a series on the road in Pittsburgh. Series tied at 1 game apiece. Cardinals struggling early against Mitch Keller. He gets Tommy Edmonds swinging. And then Corey Dickerson goes down on strikes. Now skip to the 7th. Jack Sawinski goes deep for a solo home run. Pirates go up 2-0. Now to the 9th, St. Louis trying to rally, and guess who delivers? Albert Pujols. 2-run shot for the lead, 697 career home runs. He passes Alex Rodriguez and moves into 4th place on the all-time list behind Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. So that's some pretty good company. Pujols seals the Cardinals win, 4-3 the final. Meanwhile, the Royals try to avoid getting swept at home. Scoreless in the first, runners on the corners for Nick Pratto. He pops it up to left. Bobby Witt Jr. scores. Then the next inning, Drew Waters jams it in the corner for a bases-clearing double. Royals extend their lead now 3-0. They add more here in the 4th. Michael Massey cranks a solo shot to right. Kansas City defense pulling their weight today. Pratto makes the stop. Scurries to the bag for the out. Royals blank the Tigers 4-0. All right, taking a look at the forecast. 7th and Range Line. What a lovely, lovely place to view. As you can see, not looking bad at all. And the temperatures aren't looking bad either. 51 in Joplin right now with a southerly breeze. It's going to switch out of the west. We've got some cooler temperatures. 47 Iola, 49 Fort Scott, 46 Grove and Jay, 49 Neosho, and 48 in Anderson. As the kids get on the bus at 7 a.m., be sitting right around 50 degrees under mostly clear skies, but don't bundle them up too much because by the time that bus brings them home, we're looking at mostly clear and 78. We're not going to do a lot of warming necessarily today. Afternoon high of only 79 degrees under mostly clear skies. And then we've thrown the moon icon up here at 8 because I don't know if you've noticed, but over the weekend, it's starting to get dark come 8 o'clock at night. And as we head into the rest of the evening, we're gradually drop back down to 57 for an overnight low with those mostly clear skies. And of course, remember, scan that QR code or go to your favorite app store and search for KOAM Skywatch Weather. You can get our Skywatch Weather app. It's like having the entire KOAM Skywatch Weather team in your pocket. That's myself, which, I mean, that's just me. But then you also get meteorologist Sam Lane and meteorologist Doug Heddy. So all three of us right there with the forecast everywhere you go. Future track doesn't show much of anything. It is working, though, because there's a few stray clouds in northeast Missouri, and they eventually move on out of here. So on the 7-day forecast, we start to warm up effective tomorrow. 90 degrees. We hold into the lower 90s to around 90 degrees as we go through the rest of the week. If you are dealing with the drought situation, this is not the forecast you want to see. This is not me being lazy and just checking sunny, sunny, sunny because it seemed like the easy way to go. This is a fact. We're looking at a very dry, warm week ahead of us. If you do have outdoor activities, though, it's a great forecast for that. Overnight lows back into the 60s. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News coming your way.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the number of hip fractures worldwide is expected to double by 2050, particularly for men and the elderly. Researchers at the University of Hong Kong say people are living longer and are getting frailer. Their study also noted that osteoporosis is underdiagnosed in men. Scientists in Europe have discovered particles linked to climate change may also lead to lung cancer in people who have never smoked. Particles are typically found in vehicle exhaust, and smoke from fossil fuels are associated with non-small cell lung cancer. And a new study looks at diabetes and diabetes deaths in the U.S. and finds more people are dying from diabetes in rural areas. Data suggests rural populations have less access to health care and receive a lower quality of service. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Well, this morning we're discussing the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. It's hard to believe, but those attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon took place over 2 decades ago. That date also marks the downing of United Flight 93 into an abandoned field in Pennsylvania, which prevented another terror attack that day, but did take the lives of everyone on board. Americans across the country gathered to observe the occasion and mourn the loss of almost 3,000 people in the worst terror attack on American soil. And from most of the ceremonies came the solemn promise to never forget. And our question to you, how did you mark the 9/11 anniversary? Did you attend an event, watch news footage? Do you remember where you were? Maybe talk to some youth. Maybe you did all those things. Maybe you didn't do any of those things. So far, 48% say you remembered where you were. 20% of you say you didn't do any of these things. 20% watched some news footage, and 6% of you attended an event or talked to youth. So I fall into the talk to youth and the watched news footage and remembered where you were. It's a day that I know many of us will not forget anytime soon. It was my freshman year in high school, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, but for us as freshmen in high school, we were just getting over the tragic loss of Aaliyah, the music artist, who died in a plane crash in the Bahamas at the end of August. And for us as kids in high school, that was our big story until 9/11. And then that ended up shaping the rest of our high school careers. It shaped the rest of our lives. I remember by 11 o'clock, our high school, Joplin High School, was all but deserted. They let kids go home that day early. And by 11 a.m., most of them had, I think there were maybe 600 of us left out of 2,500 that day. And the whole week, every class was dominated with coverage and discussion of what was going on in the world. It was definitely a different situation. I remember 9/11 too, going home. My mom picked me up from school, and we're coming back down Main Street, and the old snack attack at 20th and Main, lines around the block for cars waiting for gas, and gas had shot up to around $4 a gallon. Which I know is now about where they sit these days, but at that time, I mean, that was unprecedented. So if you do remember, maybe you've got a story of your own to share, make sure you do so. You can vote through our website, through our app, and of course, share your stories of remembrance on our Facebook page. Quick check of the forecast. 7-day, or not the 7-day, Skywatch Storm Tracker. That's what this thing is, and there's really not anything going on. Now, we zoom out to the lower 48. There is activity in the country. We've got rain moving off the eastern seaboard. We've got a low-pressure system in the Great Lakes bringing rain to Chicago, parts of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan as well. And then the desert southwest, getting some much-needed rain down in Arizona, and they need that rain to continue moving south and west to help some of the wildfire situations they're dealing with. We have no rain to speak of in our area. In fact, sun's slowly starting to come up this morning, 7th and range line, and we're sitting at 51 degrees in Joplin. So not a bad start for the day. We got 48 Yates Center, 47 Iola, 50 Pittsburgh, and 51 in Lamar. Our bus stop forecast, by about 7 a.m., we're looking at about 50 degrees, 49 or so, under mostly clear skies, and then we have mostly clear skies when the kids get home at 3:78 this afternoon, and we're not going to warm up much from that. 79 for an afternoon high. Absolutely beautiful weather today. Mostly clear skies. We'll continue with mostly clear skies as we head into this evening, with an overnight low dropping off to 57 degrees. And a quick check of that 7-day forecast shows us where we do start to rebound tomorrow. 90 on Tuesday, 92 on Wednesday. We kind of hover right around 90 degrees for the next several days under mostly clear skies. Overnight lows in the 60s. So again, for the drought situation, this 7-day forecast is not one that you want to see, but if you've got outdoor activities, and this is the week to do it because it's going to be warm and dry for the foreseeable future. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now, Pittsburgh, Kansas police investigate into a shooting that happened Friday.
We've got cool temperatures to start this Monday morning. What does the rest of the week hold for us? We've got that answer coming up.
And police charge a Miami, Oklahoma man for violating his parole.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:32 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It is kind of crazy. It's already 6:30. This Monday is rolling right by.
I know, right?
We're an hour and a half into this show.
Time flies when you show up late. No.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does because it's like cramming for a test. Because she was mentioning, I set my alarm for 4:30 when I was off Friday because I'm like, well, I don't need to be up at 2:30, but I was going to give the wife a break, get the kids ready. And I'm like, 4:30 sounds good. I didn't reset it, though, over the weekend back to 2:30. So it goes off. I look at my clock, and I'm like, it's 4:30 in the morning.
So what we didn't talk about is, did you enjoy your day off?
Yeah. Actually, I did. The wife and I, we just kind of took it easy, Like I said, I got up early and I got the kids to, I didn't get them to school. They get on the bus, but I got them up, got them ready. They got on the bus. She slept in, which she really enjoyed. And we went out, we did some grocery shopping. I think we ate out. That's what it'll be committed to my long-term memory here soon. I'll remember what happened on that day.
You can leave the rest of the details out.
But it was a very relaxing day. It felt like I was playing hooky though. Because, I woke up at 4:30 and I look and it's 5 a.m. and I'm like, this doesn't feel right.
Well, see, Sam and I were contemplating whether you'd be up in time to watch the show. And he asked me, when I take days off, do I typically wake up? I'm like, no, that's my day to sleep.
See, now I'll sleep on the weekends, but for me, I still need to get up early because if I sleep too late, then come Sunday, I'll stay up too late because I'm still energized and then I won't be ready in the morning. So
not usually a problem for me.
It's a big problem for me.
You'll get used to it.
Slowly but surely. And something else that we may get used to is some of these nicer temperatures. 7th and Range Line.
If they would only stay around longer.
I know. Unfortunately, they're not going to stick around. They're going to get bad, but they won't stay this cool for very long. 7th and Range Line, though, look at that sunrise. Those colors are gorgeous out there. We have a gorgeous temperature to go right along with it, 51 degrees in Joplin. Still some cool temperatures out there, 48 Yates Center, 49 Chanute, 51 in Lamar and in Carthage as we start the day. Kids getting on the bus, which they will do so in approximately 25 minutes-ish. 49 degrees under mostly clear skies, and when the bus brings them back, we're looking at 78 and mostly clear skies. Going through the rest of today, we'll see an afternoon high of only about 79 with those mostly clear skies continuing. And heading into tonight, broken record time, mostly clear skies yet again with an overnight low of 57 degrees. We're going to take a look at the 7-day forecast here in just a few minutes and talk about what temperatures are going to do and what the rest of the forecast holds. Just a couple of minutes. I think I said that, but a couple of minutes. We're going to do it.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that in a couple of minutes.
I'm going to go set a timer. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
There you go. A couple of minutes is pretty generic, so I think you'll be fine.
We'll get to it. Don't worry.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Well, a crash in Barton County leaves 2 people dead. Just before 5 a.m. Saturday morning, reports of a crash 6 miles south of Liberal, Missouri along Missouri 43 alerted police dispatch. The Barton County Sheriff's Department, Liberal Police, Liberal Fire, and the Barton County Ambulance responded to the scene. And while there, officers learned that a Toyota Highlander traveling southbound on Missouri 43 had entered the wrong lane and struck a 98 Ford F-250 head-on. Police say the driver of the Toyota, 30-year-old Shelby Stennett, and the juvenile Ford driver were pronounced dead at the scene. EMS then transported 2 other juvenile passengers of the Ford to area hospitals with ambulance and helicopter. Pittsburgh police investigate a shooting from early Friday morning. Police say it happened on the 300 block of West 4th Street shortly after 2 a.m. Officers found a 30-year-old man with a gunshot wound inside the home. That man was taken to the hospital. No word on his condition. Authorities say the shots came from outside the home and that the shooting was targeted. Miami, Oklahoma police arrest a suspect in the stranger with candy case. His name is Kirk William Owen of Grove, Oklahoma. Owen had been on probation with a 20-year sentence for lewd molestation of a child. He is now suspected of violating parole. Owen was back in the spotlight due to a case out of Crawford County, Kansas, of allegedly enticing a minor. In July, the Crawford County Sheriff's Office investigated reports of a man in a white Corvette convertible offering juveniles bags of candy at a park in Cherokee, Kansas. Police say that man reportedly was only wearing underwear and a shirt and asked the children for their home addresses. They believe Owen was that man. Police arrest an Anderson, Missouri man at his home in connection with a fatal crash last month. Vincent Castro, who had previously been in the hospital, is now charged with DWI, resulting in the death of another, among other charges. For the August 20th two-vehicle crash on Missouri 59 Highway in Anderson. The other driver, 65-year-old David Cunningham, was airlifted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin, where he was later pronounced dead. Castro's bond is set at $500,000. Well, different tribes and families come together on Sunday in Wyandotte for a powwow. Some participants described it as a time of fellowship among friends and family. There was also a contest for who could wear the most authentic native garment.
It's really just a gathering of friends and, old friends that you get to see and kind of get rid of all the bad things in your life just by dancing and listening to the drum. It's kind of like a church.
Right. To find more events in the 4 states, you can go to our events page on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, on Saturday, the city of Carthage celebrated the 2nd annual tribute to Lowell Davis. Activities included hay rides, music jams, food trucks, craft vendors, a blacksmith, book authors, science demos, and much more.
My favorite part is people coming here, like the bonding, the people that been locked because of pandemic, and it's like meeting people like I haven't seen for a long time. It's their friends and their family.
To find more celebratory events in the 4 states, again, all you have to do is go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Well, I just broke the weather computer. I was handed some papers and I ended up clicking a button. Let's look at that 7-day though real quick, shall we? You guys see me enough. You don't need to see me again. 7-day forecast shows dry and clear conditions continue through the week as temperatures float around the 90-degree mark with overnight lows in the 60s. This is what happens. Ron came down. There's Ron right now. Ron brought me papers. He sidetracked me and that's what happened. But we do have a dry week ahead of us. Not the forecast you want to see if you're dealing with the drought, but if you got outdoor activities, this is the week to do it.
All right, well,
those are the papers.
He brought us our 7 o'clock rundowns because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up at 7.
We certainly do, and we'll tell you all about that here in about 20 minutes or so, less than that.
I like this slug that says Seinfeld, sexy or silly.
See, there's a good tease for you. You're going to want to stick around for that 7 o'clock hour.
All right, well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Gas prices may be down, but Janet Yellen warns winter may see drivers once again struggling with those high prices at the pump.
Plus, the 21st anniversary of 9/11 was yesterday. Many people remember it. Well, some weren't even alive during this horrible event, and that brings us to our something to talk about. How did you mark the 9/11 anniversary? We let you weigh in. We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, time is running out to prevent a nationwide strike by freight railroad workers. A 60-day cooling off period imposed by the White House is set to expire this week. Negotiators have reported some progress in recent days, but those agreements are tentative and several major issues remain unsettled. A trade group estimates that a work stoppage could cost the U.S. economy as much as $2 billion a day. Industry analysts believe Congress will intervene to prevent a strike, either by imposing a contract on the companies and unions or by extending the cooling off period. Well, gas prices have fallen 25% from June's record highs, but Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is warning of pain to come. She says fuel costs could spike again this winter as the EU scales back its purchases of Russian oil. Yellen says the move is necessary to cut off funding for Russia's war in Ukraine, but is likely to lead to increased demand and higher prices from other oil and gas suppliers. Well, Visa says it will join MasterCard and American Express in categorizing sales at gun shops separately. Those purchases were previously classified as general merchandise. Proponents of the new move say it will help authorities track suspicious sales of firearms and ammunition. Gun advocates have argued flagging gun sales would unfairly target its industry, insisting most sales do not lead to mass shootings. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Chris for let's take a look at our 4-state hero. Nope, we're going to go to break. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Philip Beckley. Tech Sergeant Beckley served in the Air Force from 1965 to 1975. Native of Pittsburg, Kansas, we thank you, today's four-state hero, Philip Beckley.
All right, we've got some birthdays to celebrate on this fine Monday morning, and we are beginning in Cherokee with Rosalie Dietz, turning 4 years old today. Rosalie, a very happy birthday to you this morning.
And Daniel and Aoife McShane, the McShane twins, celebrating birthday number 5 this year in Baxter Springs with love from Mom, Dad, and Patty.
We've also got Lucas Hendricks, turning 5 years old as well in Parsons today. Lucas, a very happy birthday to you.
And let's see, Cooper Minton turned 7 strong this past weekend on Saturday. Happy birthday to Cooper.
And we've got Braden Morrison turning 22 in Lamar, and he's attending Ozarks Christian College. A very happy Monday birthday to you, Braden.
All right, Austin Pike celebrating birthday number 29 in Nevada.
And Tucker Pike, who happens to be Austin's nephew, also in Nevada, turning 8 years old today. Happy birthday, Tucker.
Mike Sisney celebrating birthday number 44 in Girard with love from Missy, Evan, Aiden, Marley and Quinn, Mom and Gail, and Jerry and Diane. Basically the whole family. Happy birthday, Mike.
And we've got Rick Clark over in St. Paul turning 50 years old today. Rick, a very happy birthday to you.
And in Columbus, because the party's in the bus, Holly Johnson is celebrating another year.
And we've got Gary Steele in Yates Center, pictured here with his wife and all of his grandchildren. Gary, it looks like you're going to have one heck of a birthday party celebration today. Happy birthday to you in Yates Center.
Janet Maher celebrating a birthday in Chanute. Happy birthday, Janet.
And we've got Matt and Amber Alloway celebrating their 12th anniversary in Parsons. A very happy anniversary to the both of you.
All right, our birthday and anniversary list goes on. In Joplin, Donna Richardson celebrating today. Siler Schuberger celebrating birthday number sweet 16 in the bus.
And we've got Marietta Nicholson celebrating in Pittsburgh, and Eric and Mandy Schmelzer celebrating their 23rd wedding anniversary in the bus.
All right, if you have a birthday or an anniversary, you can send them to us at birthdays@KOAMTV.com or birthdays@KOAMNewsNow.com.
And why don't you go check out our website, because while you're there, not only do you get the latest news and all that good stuff, you also have an opportunity to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. When you do so, you get some incredible deals from local businesses. All you need to do is go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. All right, Skywatch Storm Tracker. Nothing in our area. Low pressure system that did bring us rain. Moving on out of here, bringing rain to the Great Lakes region, some rain in the desert Southwest. We also have some rain exiting the eastern seaboard. Unfortunately for us, from the drought perspective, not good news. So, 7th in range line, the sun's rising. It does look quite nice, 51 degrees under clear skies. We can still have some cool temperatures out there, 46 Fredonia, 47 Iola, 51 in Lamar, and 51 in Carthage as we start this day. Kids boarding the bus here in about 10 minutes, be about right around 50 degrees. Mostly clear when the bus brings them back. A little bit warmer, 78 by 3 o'clock with, once again, mostly clear skies. And mostly clear is going to be the theme, unfortunately. Depends. If you're dealing with the drought situation, this is not good news. But if you've got outdoor activities, then it is good news. It's a double-edged sword here. 72 at noon, afternoon high of 79, 70 by 8 o'clock. And as we head into tonight, mostly clear yet again, dropping back through the 60s to eventually to an overnight low of 57 degrees. And of course, make sure you scan that QR code or search for KOAM Skywatch Weather to get the KOAM Skywatch Weather app. And that way the forecast is always with you. I knew there was something wrong with the future track earlier and I couldn't place my finger on it. It was because it was set to end today. I last updated it Thursday, so it was supposed to end today, and it did. Now, as we head through the week, you can see rain, cloud cover out in western Kansas. Unfortunately, we get some of the cloud cover, but we don't get any of the rain, and we may not see any rain until we start to get into the latter part of the weekend. There is the possibility of some showers. Right now, it's kind of iffy. We're watching that, but hopefully we can get some rain because we do need it. Otherwise, right now, we're looking at high and dry conditions. Warming up tomorrow to 90, lower 90s most of the week under clear skies, and we've got overnight lows in the 60s. We're going to be right back with the news you need to know when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Some Kansas drivers may have to look out for a detour starting today. Kansas Department of Transportation looks to close the US 400 bypass east of Baxter Springs. It's being closed for construction as KDOT continues to work on the US 166 expansion in Cherokee County. US 69A at Baxter Springs and US 166 will remain open. There will be a signed detour on US 69A, K66, and K26. Anderson, Missouri police charge a man in connection with a fatal crash last month. Vincent Castro is now charged with DWI resulting in the death of another, among other charges for the August 20th two-vehicle crash on Missouri 59 Highway in Anderson. The other driver, 65-year-old David Cunningham, was airlifted to Freeman Hospital in Joplin, where he was later pronounced dead. Ukrainian soldiers raised their country's flag in the main square of Izium. Russian forces were forced to flee the strategic eastern city just 5 days after Ukrainian forces began a new offensive eastward through the Kharkiv region. The last 5 days have seen the most ambitious ground assaults by the Ukrainians since Russia launched its full-scale invasion over 6 months ago. William and Prince Harry pay respects to their grandmother on the grounds of Windsor Castle. Sources say William reached out to Harry shortly before this walk. You can see their brothers with their wives, Catherine and Meghan, looking at some of the tributes to the Queen left by the gates of the castle before greeting people who were there to offer their condolences. Public viewings for the Queen get underway today. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, quick check of the forecast, and it's a simple one. We're looking at mostly clear skies today, afternoon high of 79. Mostly clear skies continue. Temperatures will gradually drop back down to about 57 for an overnight low. And a check of the 7-day forecast does show us where we've got a hot and dry week lined up for us. We're looking at temperatures hovering right around 90 degrees for most of the week under clear skies, and overnight lows dropping back into the 60s. Good news if you have outdoor activities, bad news for the drought situation. But later down the road, we could see some rain by the middle of next week if everything holds together, and it's rain we still need.
Definitely need that rain. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making down-home meatloaf, and it looks good in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I'm curious about this. I've never been a huge fan of meatloaf. My mom would make it. It was my least favorite thing she made. So, but we'll see. Maybe this is some good meatloaf.
You haven't had my meatloaf. It's good too.
That's true. That's true. And Amber makes some really good meatloaf as well. So it's just my mom's meatloaf. Mom, I love you. Don't strike me down. I just was not a big fan. Anyway, your morning news continues with KOAM with CBS Mornings next. CBS News has confirmed a possible plea deal that could take the death penalty off the table for 5 men held at Guantanamo Bay in connection with the 9/11 attacks. It's being discussed ahead on CBS Mornings. Hear from the families of victims upset with that decision.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, a World War II veteran is honored in a touching way, and you don't want to miss this story.
Plus, the internet is up in arms on whether Jerry Seinfeld is sexy or not. We'll have that answer coming up. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And of course, we're going to do it all again today at noon.